Car crash drama unfolds, resulting in tragic loss. Exes build bridges, and lover realises partner doesn't love him back. Hello, this is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast where we dissect the latest week's episodes and discuss the happenings and residents of our favourite fictional town, Summer Bay. Oh, what a week! So, I've been itching to record this episode. So, we left, didn't we, off last week, the end of that dramatic, yet slightly hilarious kangaroo car crash, and Dean and Mia left hanging by a thread on the edge of the cliff as the car flips and balances by what looks like the petrol cap door. Again, slightly comedic. But no, I was happy to go with the drama. I was happy to go with it. It was very exciting. Nick had been thrown from the car, and he was the only one really who sort of came round and was trying to help the guys, trying to flag down help. Very dramatic, very into these episodes, and I think it was quite clear from that get-go something very bad was going to happen as a result of this crash. And I had my suspicions for a few weeks that Mia and Ari's pregnancy was just too happy. I have mentioned it in previous episodes. The guys on Twitter will know that, it's been a little too happy. Little baby Sophia we've been expecting. So tragedy was always around the corner. And a bit of me was sort of thinking, will the writers do this? Because Ari has just lost a baby with Mac. And there's this history of them. Have they lost one or is it two? A baby died early, didn't it, in Ari and Mia's backstory. And there was there another miscarriage as well. So it's just very, very tragic. And is it a little too much? I think it might be. What was another loss of baby or pregnancy loss, miscarriage? Was that necessary in this storyline? I'm not sure. And I'm not Mia's biggest fan. I've not warmed her, but I wouldn't wish that upon her. I was probably wishing her dead, actually. But, no. I think that's a little too tragic, even by home and away standards, if I'm being completely honest. I was very shocked, but not surprised. Does that make sense? Very unnecessary. And, during the whole leading up to that point where we find out that, Mia has lost the baby, it was quite obvious she was in pain. She was climbing in and out of that, that car like blooming Tarzan, wasn't she? A Jane or something. And I was thinking, you're going to send this over the way. She, very heroically managed to tie the car with the seatbelts. I mean, quick thinking, girl, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have thought of that. And obviously Dean as well looks like he's in such a bad way. Is he going to pull through at that point? We were a bit like, oh, don't know. And Dean is the golden child of the show at the moment. So I would have been very surprised if he wouldn't have made it. And this all sort of led to this the budget on these episodes was amazing. The helicopter, and the sort of big arrival of Logan, which we've read a lot about. Neighbours fans will recognise him as well, and he's a character, isn't he? He's come in and he's got everyone the support they need. They've got Mia and Neek's medical attention, got Dean airlifted to hospital. He's in really bad way at this point, and Logan arrives at Northern Districts, and there's this power struggle then between Tori and this Logan bloke. Now, is this leading on to, I don't know, is this going to be a romantic thing? Where it starts off where they hate each other, but they actually fancy each other. I don't know. It's a bit strange, but there's a definite, at the very least, this power struggle. This is going to be one to watch, I think, because this could go either way. It's either going to be a full blown territorial ED hospital war, or it's going to be sort of a loved for each, fancying each other. You know what I mean? Sort of praying for that, like that second, the latter, because I really do not like Tori and Christian, and we'll come on to that in a moment. Regular listeners will know that I am done with Christian, and I'm still not come round, and I thought I would have done by now. So yeah, Logan, Tori, there's butting heads already. Is Logan sticking around? If he does, that's going to be a problem. I suspect, I don't know, I suspect they fancy each other a little bit and won't admit it. Is that the way that's going to go? We'll find out. Also, if he is sticking around, there's going to be more doctors than patients at this rate. So there's been a lot of rumours about Tori leaving, in which case I'll be absolutely gutted. Tori's one of the best doctors we've had in a long time, and I think she's got such long stay potential. She's been around for a good few years now, so maybe that is coming. Gutted if it will. So we need to keep watching this, guys, and we need to keep our ear to the ground about how this develops. It could go a few ways. I'm happy to guess and dissect that at the moment, but there are certain outcomes that I'm just not gonna like. Okay, so the sort of Ari and Mac sort of bury the hatchet in between all this car crash being unfolded on screen. We're sort of flicking to scenes with Ari and Mac, which I don't know whether it came out of the blue or not. I couldn't remember, but they sort of ended up friends, and I mean, Mac was surfing, which again was odd for me anyway. But they ended up at this sort of stage where they bury the hatchet, and they were talking, and they were friends, and Mac was congratulating him on the baby, obviously at that point not knowing what was unfolding out wherever they were, and yeah, it was nice actually. It sort of, more than symbolic, I would say that, Mac has come full circle, and she's mended herself. If we needed any more, reassurance on that, we've got it. She's definitely come such a long way from a couple of months ago, when she was an absolute mess. So absolutely really happy for those scenes, and that, and the fact that she's able to be in the same room as Ari now, sort of says a lot about how far she's come along, let alone talk to him about the child he's about to have with Mia, which at one point was absolutely no-go. So, and then obviously as they learn the news about what has happened with the car crash, she is there at the hospital initially supporting him. She sort of runs with him to help with Neek, and obviously she's probably thinking at that point Bella as well, and yeah, obviously while she's at the hospital learned that Dean was also involved, so it sort of takes on a different avenue for her. But I like that she went there with Ari initially, and that they seem to be able to be amicable, if not friendly, dare I say it. I really liked that, because it shows us what a long way Mac's come, and actually that person she was isn't. I know it made her very unpopular with a lot of people, a lot of viewers, but that person she wasn't her real self. She's back to her old self now. So yeah, really like those scenes. And of course, Tori and Christian. So he's proposing again. He's planned this romantic day with the help of Leah and Justin. And, there's all these obstacles keep getting in the way. If you need a sign, Tori, love, that is the sign. And obviously there's this romantic lunch or whatever it was set up at the pier, and they get called in to deal with the fallout of this, this crash at the hospital. So it all gets put on the back burner. And yeah, I think this is obviously true soap opera style of telling you that the universe is trying to send you a message that this is not meant to happen, Tori. So listen to yourself. This has got bad news coming. We're gonna see, really same thing as the Ari and Mia thing. They're gonna be so happy, and then something's gonna come in the way again. And I don't want to see this for Tori again. I keep saying this, but she said it herself. She's now got Grace to think about. She's had the revolving door of boyfriends since being on the show. She needs to put herself first, and she wants to get married to Christian. So, fair enough, girl. But I'm happy to go along with it. But there is heartbreak down the line. You can just tell. Like I say, the universe is trying to send you a message, and this is how these things roll in Summer Bay, isn't it? So just listen to your gut, listen to the signs, but nope. And after an exhausting day of saving lives and delivering bad news to most of the Bay, in that fateful lift where they first had their first pash, Christian gets down on one knee and proposes, and she says yes. So now I'm going to have to endure the wedding. Oh dear. Oh, I'm really sorry, but I know people who listen to this podcast have reached out and said how much of a fan they are of Tori, and I know they've got a big following amongst viewers and fans of the show. But I just can't get on board anymore, guys. Does that make me an unforgivable person? Am I holding on to grudges? I don't know. Should I try and give Christian a chance? Let me know. I think no matter how hard I try with that one, I'm really going to struggle. At least I'm not Tori. At least I'm not in her shoes. But yeah, I can't do it. It's going to end in tears. We all know it will. It's just a matter of time. So in the meantime, we're probably going to have to endure the wedding. It'll probably be really happy. They'll look like the best couple on earth. I'll probably record a special wedding podcast as well. I'll just roll with it. But I know it's not going to be happy ever after. And I think you do too, don't you? And speaking of no happy ever afters, I felt really sorry for Tane here now this week, because as the week goes on, he slowly comes to that realisation, doesn't he, that Ziggy is not in love with him, she's in love with Dean. And I think it was foolish of him to, I say foolish, but you can't help your feelings, can you, and who you love and whatnot. And that sometimes empowers decisions that perhaps aren't the right ones for you in the long run. But it was a little foolish of him to sort of believe her when he asked her point blank, "Have you still got feelings for Dean?" And she said, "Absolutely not." They go to bed together, sleep together, and she's lay awake just thinking about Dean, clearly. So, it was never going to end well. She's just freshed off, kiss Dean, the first opportunity she has when they're talking together again. So, really upset with Ziggy. This covered this last time. Really upset that this is the way it's turned out. I think the writers, and when Ziggy and Dean split, they were such a big couple. It was obvious at some point that the writers were going to make, try and get those back together again. It was going to be that whole, meant to be together, loads of obstacles in our way, 12 months of trying to find our way back to each other type love stories that soap operas do so well. And it makes you invested in the couple even more and all that business. But that would have worked with me had it not been for Tane turning into such a nice bloke. If Tane was still the womanising, carefree idiot that he was at the beginning when he first arrived, that would have been much better pill to swallow. But no, he's turned into a nice lad. He's fallen for Ziggy. He's softened up. He's made himself vulnerable to love and to Ziggy. And in the end, he's ended up being hurt. And those scenes where she lies to him. She says, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to the hospital. I'm going to work all day. He obviously phones her and realises where she is, and she still doesn't tell him. And then he catches her at the hospital. What on earth is she thinking? What on earth? This whole thing has ruined Ziggy for me. She was a great character. Everything she's been through with Brody, with with this whole Dean thing, this whole betrayal and lies and things, and it's broken down these two big relationships in her life. Then she's doing it herself. It's just ruined her character for me. Don't like it, can't get on board with it at all. And I don't really care what happens with her and Dean now as a result. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's fair as a fan of Dean either, that I feel that way, that my feelings for Ziggy are so strong in this respect that it's just ruining the whole storyline for me. And now I don't care what happens with them. The whole point of the storyline of them getting back together, I'm not rooting for them anymore. And I think it's because Tane's been written into a really nice bloke. And actually, there was this moment, wasn't there, where he's packed his bags, he's moved out. This realisation's come to a head, and you just feel sorry for him. You really do. He goes back home, and the first thing he sort of does the very next day is rock up at Mac's house and plants a kiss on her. And I was like, oh, it was going to happen, wasn't it? I mean, unfinished business much, that's almost saying to me, as nice as Tane ended up being, the whole time he was just thinking how hot it would be with Mac. Do you know what I mean? And it was hot. But, that was a bit strange. That was a bit quick, wasn't it? Yeah, I was thinking, has he just been wanting to do that the whole time he was with Ziggy? Because I was invested. I believed he really fell for Ziggy. And we didn't know for quite a while what had happened then after that. However, we did learn, didn't we, that Mac sort of put a stop to it, and they were chatting, and thank God Mac put a stop, and it didn't happen, because I think he would have regretted it. And they had this really nice scene, Mac and Tane on the balcony of the apartment, didn't they, have opening a beer or whatever, saying, this is a bit daft, and and you realise he's a changed character. He's hurting, and he's just acting out because he's hurting, and he really loves Ziggy. And he says, my line of the week, he says to her, doesn't he? If I didn't love her, it wouldn't be a problem. And that just sums Tane up, I think. The way he behaved in terms of meeting women and casual sex and everything before Ziggy was because he hadn't met the right one. He'd never experienced that love until Ziggy, and so I think he's going to take this really hard. And I think we're probably going to see him self-destruct a little bit like Mac did, really, when her and Ari broke up. But I must say, there's a lot of tension between Mac and Tane. Will they get it out of their system? Will they explore that unfinished business? Who knows? I think if it happens too quick, there's going to be an issue with Ziggy. Even though that is a whole sort of, pot kettle black scenario. But yeah, very interesting developments in the whole couple swap love triangles business, that revolving door that there usually is going on with the trials and tribulations of the young youth of Summer Bay. That's everything for this week's Coastal News. Got you all up to speed with my thoughts and opinions of the latest Channel 5 episodes. Be back next weekend with another as we go again. Catch us on social media at Coastal News Pod on Twitter and Instagram to keep up to speed and chatting about the latest developments from home and away as they air Mondays to Fridays on Channel 5's. Thank you for your support. Please like, share, follow the podcast, and help it grow. Thank you very much. I will see you next week. Bye bye for now.